Europe is evolving. Learn how in Parlamento.
Graham Watson is president of the Liberal group in the European Parliament. The Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe is the Assembly's third largest group. At home in Langport, southwest England, Watson presents one of his historical influences.
Well, William Ewart Gladstone was one of the greatest Liberals who ever lived. He was a Prime Minister in this country on a number of occasions back in the 19th century. And I think of anyone, he was the person who developed from the age of empire the concepts of free trade allied with a respect for human rights and the development of social justice. And very much of my thinking as a Liberal has been inspired by what some continentals would call a social liberal tradition.
Watson has been following this inspiration in the European Parliament for 15 years. In the run-up to the elections, he's been getting up earlier.
Campaigns are always very stressful times. Not only do you have the worry about whether you can get yourself re-elected in your own constituency, but my concern is how many Liberals can I bring back to Parliament from across the European continent. When I took over the leadership of my group 7 years ago, we were a very small group. We were fewer than 50 people. I managed to build it up to over 100 people, and I hope that I can keep it at that kind of level.
This June, the 53-year-old Scotsman is not only running for re-election to a seat in the Parliament, he is a candidate for the President's chair.
I've served as a backbencher on the Economic Committee and the Budgets Committee. I've served as the chairman of the Justice and Home Affairs Committee, and now for 7 years as leader of my group. I need a new challenge, but I would like to run the institution. And I believe that in running, one has some chance of the public debate about the direction of Europe's development, which is hugely necessary. I may not succeed in winning the presidency, but if I succeed in stimulating a public debate about where we're going, what we're doing and why, then I think I will already have achieved something.
We are trying to delete.
Bringing Europe back into Europeans' hearts also means bridging differences within Watson's own group. It includes radical liberals who want to limit state involvement in the running of the economy to a strict minimum, and it includes Democrats who defend the welfare state. The group's Vice President Silvana Koch-Merin shares this desire to build bridges.
But it's a legitimate option.
Wir haben natürlich unterschiedliche politische Traditionen in der Fraktion. Anders ging es ja.
Of course, we have different political traditions in the group. It wouldn't work otherwise. We come from 22 different countries. Some parties in our group are in power at home, others are in the opposition. That is felt here because we have another responsibility when we have to explain the voting done here to the people at home.
Steht für das Abstimmungsverhalten hier im Haus.
The Democratic part, of course, favours market economics, but is also in favour of a strong role on the part of the state as a regulatory power. Therefore, there comes a time when we put the stress on the public power's obligations rather than simply on the rules of the market.
The members of the ALDE group are not obliged to vote all together. There's leeway for different opinions, but coherence within the group has increased in recent years.
These days, the main dividing line in politics is a completely different one. It's between those who react to the challenges of globalization by wanting to pull up the drawbridge, by wanting Europe to be an exclusive white Christian club with protectionist trade barriers and so on. And those who say, no, it's precisely the challenges of globalization that means we need to be drawbridge down, that we need a dialogue with Islam and other cultures, that we need open trading relationships across the world, that a certain amount of migration is necessary and perhaps beneficial. And on these issues, Liberals are very much united.
Military presence in the region.
Defending European integration unites the group members.
It's a political movement with a very strong European conviction. So I'd say Europe is practically their first priority, which is to say the future of Europe. The continent's future is the future of all of us.
Building enthusiasm up among the British with their reputation as Eurosceptics has always been challenging. Watson is visiting a school in his constituency. The 16 to 17-year-old pupils are in a European Union-supported exchange programme. Latvians and Germans spending a few days in England. The MEP imparts an appreciation of more than his own political views.
What he was saying, it sounded very interesting, and yeah, it sounded like, yeah, Europe is, when it's together, works much better than when it's not together and when they're fighting each other.
He was very open, and for us it was interesting, especially because he spoke in English. I was impressed that he spoke that openly with us about the Parliament and all that.
Watson stays to watch some folk dancing. Next, it's time to move on to a retired entrepreneurs club to give a speech. Again, the objective is to increase understanding of the EU and work done in Brussels.
We have 2 houses. There is a section of the British people, perhaps even up to 1/3 of people, who are uncomfortable with Britain's membership of the European Union. Often the perceptions they have are not based in reality at all. They've read something in a newspaper about how Europe is going to stop some of their fundamental freedoms and so on.
Watson mixes with people not only as an ambassador for his own party, but also of a European spirit of unity.
That's the only time they've got to spend with their family.
He can do this in English, French, Italian, and German. He's a qualified interpreter.
I think it's important to show to our citizens that in an increasingly diverse and sometimes dangerous world, the benefits of solidarity among 500 million Europeans are great indeed. That's why my group is called the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe, because we are united in wanting to see the European Union develop.
Watson fits in an end-of-the-day stop at a recycling centre. A lot of the rubbish here is hard to treat, not easily biodegradable, but the company has found a way, and he's impressed that nature-friendly can also mean economically productive. Watson is convinced that liberal and social policies do not have to exclude each other either. That's what he's out to prove.